The White House just held a devastating press conference admitting to war crimes off the coast of Venezuela, throwing its admirals and SEAL Team 6 under the bus to try to protect Pete Hegseth. Let me show you what went down. So Karoline Leavitt, Trump's chief propagandist, was asked if the regime denies that the strike took place or simply denies that Hegseth gave the order. Watch what Karoline Leavitt says. Here, play this clip.
Does the administration deny that that second strike happened, or did it happen and the administration denies that Secretary Hegseth gave the order?
The latter is true, Abe, and I have a statement to read for you here. President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it clear that presidentially designated narco-terrorist groups are subject to lethal targeting in accordance with the laws of war. With respect to the strikes in question on September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat to the United States of America was eliminated.
So she's admitting that the war crime took place. She's just blaming the admiral in charge, as well as SEAL Team 6 for carrying out the order. Another reporter follows up and says, so are you saying that it was Admiral Bradley who was the only one who gave the order, not Hegseth and not Trump? Watch as they throw this admiral and SEAL Team 6 under the bus again for the war crimes. Here, play this clip.
So that's why you've seen a drastic difference in this administration's policy with respect to the last, and it's one of the many reasons the American public reelected this president and support this Secretary of War in conducting these strikes.
So to be clear, to clarify, Admiral Bradley was the one who gave that order for a second strike.
And he was well within his authority to do so.
And a separate question, the president several days ago said it was his intention.
And another reporter asks again, so did Admiral Bradley order it? Was that what happened? That second strike that killed the survivors? By the way, in my own view, this whole thing was unlawful, but did Admiral Bradley, he was the one who made the order for the second strike? Here, play this clip.
Today.
I was going to
great minds.
yours. Thank you, Karoline. Sure. So just to be clear, to clarify on Jackie and Gabe, did Admiral Bradley order that second strike because there were still survivors after the initial strike?
Again, as I read for you, Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law. He directed the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed and the threat of narco-terrorists to the United States was completely eliminated.
So was the initial order from Secretary Hegseth, everyone be killed, and did that come from President Trump?
I saw that quoted in a Washington Post story. I would reject that the Secretary of War ever said that. However, the president has made it quite clear that if narco-terrorists, again, are trafficking illegal drugs towards the United States, he has the authority to kill them. And that's what this administration is doing.
And then Karoline Leavitt talks about Trump's MRI, and she produces some fabricated report by an osteopath, by a DO, not actually the MRI report itself. One of these other like doctor notes, again, not from someone who can actually review and analyze the MRIs. And she says, she like reads this thing and she's like, well, it wasn't an MRI of the brain. It was an MRI of the abdomen, and it was part of general preventative care. That's not the way MRIs are done. They're not done of general preventative care. And if it was just done then of the abdomen and not other areas, well, then that raises more serious questions. Here, play this clip.
Danny.
Follow up on the MRI, because President Trump yesterday said that he would release the results of his MRI. Is that happening right now?
It is happening right now. As part of, and this is a summary from the president's physician, and we will release it right now. I think my team has it teed up for all of you. I'll read it for you, and then you'll get it physically as well. As part of President Trump's comprehensive executive physical, advanced imaging was performed because men in his age group benefit from a thorough evaluation of cardiovascular and abdominal health. The purpose of this imaging is preventative, to identify any issues early, confirm overall health, and ensure the president maintains long-term vitality and function. President Trump's cardiovascular imaging was perfectly normal. No evidence of arterial narrowing impairing blood flow or abnormalities in the heart or major vessels. The heart chambers are normal in size, the vessel walls appear smooth and healthy, and there are no signs of inflammation or clotting. Overall, his cardiovascular system him shows excellent health. His abdominal imaging is also perfectly normal. All major organs appear very healthy and well perfused. Everything evaluated is functioning within normal limits with no acute or chronic concerns. In summary, this level of detailed assessment is standard for an executive physical at President Trump's age and confirms that he remains in excellent overall health. Again, we will provide that to you. I think that's quite a bit of detail, and in the effort of transparency, the president promised it last night, and we have delivered today. So there you go. Danny.
I'll do a whole other video on the note from the osteopath, but you see it right here. Just note that it's entirely BS. Then a reporter says, by the way, a Fox reporter then says, let's just get back to the war crimes here. So you said that the follow-up strike was lawful. What law allows you to do this to people who survive the first strike? Here, play this clip.
Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. Following up on Gabe's question, you said that the follow-up strike was lawful. What law is it that allows no survivors?
The strike conducted on September 2nd was conducted in self-defense to protect Americans in vital United States interests. The strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict.
On this pardon for the Honduran president.
And then the same Fox reporter says, I also want to ask you this. So you now have Republicans who are defending the strikes on narco-terrorists, but then Donald Trump pardons the former leader of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, who is one of the biggest drug traffickers who worked with the Sinaloa cartel and who was convicted in federal court in the United States and sentenced to 45 years along with his brother, who was also a massive drug trafficker. There's testimony out there that Juan Hernandez said, let's get these drugs up the gringo's nose. There was overwhelming evidence. So watch what this Fox reporter asks. Here, play this clip.
On this pardon for the Honduran president, does it at all undercut the administration's messaging while you have these congressional Republicans defending the strikes on the narco-terrorists and then a pardon for a convicted drug trafficker? Does that make it more difficult for your members to defend your administration's policy?
I don't think so, Jackie. I think that President Trump has been quite clear in his defense of the United States homeland to stop these illegal narcotics from coming to our borders, whether that's by land or by sea. And he's also made it quite clear that he wants to correct the wrongs of the weaponized Justice Department under the previous administration. And Ouija, I'll call on you because I think we're wearing matching blazers today.
And then another reporter asks Karoline Leavitt, so let's stick with this issue. So Donald Trump said if someone sells drugs in the country, if drugs are sold in a country, the way drugs were sold in Honduras under Juan Orlando Hernandez, that the president's not responsible for it. But now you're saying that Maduro should be toppled and we should go to war with Maduro while Trump's pardoning a convicted drug trafficker in Honduras. Do you see where this doesn't make sense? Here, play this clip.
Question. The president several days ago said it was his intention to pardon the former president of Honduras, who was a convicted drug trafficker. And yesterday on Air Force One, the president said that if someone sells drugs in that country, that doesn't mean you arrest the president and put him in jail for the rest of his life. How is that different than what the administration is accusing Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro?
You're cherry picking the president's statement a little bit yesterday, as he also said yesterday the people of Honduras have highlighted to him how the former president Hernandez was set up. This was a clear Biden over prosecution. He was the president of this country. He was in the opposition party. He was opposed to the values of the previous administration, and they charged him because he was president of Honduras. There were some other egregious facts that came out during this trial, and I would encourage you to report on them. His court-appointed lawyer was only given 3 weeks to prepare for trial. He shared that his conviction was lawfare by the leftist party, who, quote, struck a deal with the Biden-Harris administration. Hernandez has highlighted there was virtually no independent evidence presented, and many of his conviction was based on testimony from many admitted criminals who hoped that cooperating would reduce their own penalties. So the president heard the concerns from many people, as he does, and he's, of course, within his constitutional authority to sign clemency for whomever he deems worthy of that.
Fresh start, same system. Banks win, you pay. Fees and calls piling up monthly. Unless you fight back. PDS Debt has already helped hundreds of thousands cut their debt and put money back in their pockets, not the banks. Whether you are struggling with credit cards, personal loans, or medical bills, PDS Debt has custom options to help you get out of debt. They go beyond the numbers to understand your unique financial situation and craft a personalized plan designed just for you. There's no minimum credit score required. They're here to help you save more, pay off your debt faster, and start putting money back where it belongs, in your pocket. PDS Debt is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, boasts thousands of 5-star reviews on Google, and holds a 5-star rating on Trustpilot. Why? Because PDS has helped hundreds of thousands of people get out of debt. Every month you wait costs you more in interest and fees. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best is right now. If I had needed this product, it's what I would use. Don't wait another month. Take back control in 30 seconds. Get your free personalized assessment and the best option for you at pdsdebt.com/Meidas. That's pdsdebt.com/Meidas. pdsdebt.com/Meidas.
Then Karoline Leavitt continues to say, but look, all of your reporting is fake news. There's just so much fake news being pumped out of this building on a daily basis. Here, play this clip.
This room who do reach out for comment, who try to get things right, and there are some that remain. But overwhelmingly, the fake news that we see pumped out of this building on a day-to-day basis, it's honestly overwhelming to keep up with it all and to constantly have to defend against these fake news and these attacks. And I will point out,
she then starts to hold up a piece of paper and she's like, let me show you all of the fake news stories that you are doing. You're saying that Donald Trump isn't fit? Can we talk about former President Biden? No, talk about Donald Trump, the person in office right now who clearly is unfit, who's clearly cognitively declining. Here, play this clip.
And to constantly have to defend against these fake news and these attacks. And I will point out one fake news story over the weekend before I let you all go from the New York Times that took about 1/3 of the president's daily calendar and his daily schedule and said that he's doing less than he did in his first term, or he might not be fit for the job. That is unequivocally false. And it's deeply unfortunate that this story was written by the same outlet and the same reporter who wrote this. Biden is doing 100% fine after tripping while boarding Air Force One. Oh, same outlet, same reporter who wrote that President Trump is not fit for the job. Are you kidding me? You all see him almost every single day. He is the most accessible president in history. He is taking meetings around the clock.
And then Karoline Leavitt starts to just attack former President Biden. Play this clip.
We continue to live with the deadly consequences of Joe Biden's horrific leadership. Nearly 100,000 Afghans were recklessly released into the United States with little to no vetting. There was no regard for the disorder and violence that this would unleash on American communities and American culture.
And then she attacks former presidents. She goes, former presidents, they're the reason for all of the self-destruction taking place right now. Here, play this clip.
For too long, past American presidents supported self-destructive immigration policies that allowed foreigners who outright hate our country and have no interest in assimilating into our culture. They've allowed these individuals to flood peaceful American communities.
And she says, and we're shutting down the United States from all refugees. We're taking in 0 refugees unless you're white. And from South Africa, white South African Afrikaners, the regime has made up that there's a fake genocide taking place against them. The whites can come in, but everybody else can't come in. This is what she says, just so you can hear for yourself. Here, play this clip.
Refugee admissions were suspended for Afghans from this administration on day one, and refugee admissions into the country right now are essentially at 0, with the exception of Afrikaners fleeing persecution in South Africa. The State Department has also heightened their scrutiny and vetting of all visas and have revoked visas, as you know, for those who do not align with our country's national interests. The Secretary of State has the right to do that, and we've taken unprecedented action to do just that. We are also now pausing all asylum adjudications for additional vetting as well. And so
and then a reporter gets back to the questioning and said, Cool. Let's talk about that second strike again, the war crime for a second. So you're saying that the second strike was in full accordance with the law of armed conflict, but the Navy's own manual says that it's murder and a war crime. Can you answer this, Leavitt? Here, play this clip.
You said that second strike was in full accordance with the law of armed conflict, but the Navy's own manual of law of war says that specifically firing on survivors from a wrecked vessel is an example of a war crime that's forbidden under U.S. law and the law of armed conflict. So how was that second strike in following law of armed conflict in that second line of operation?
Again, Andrew, I would reiterate to you the strike was conducted in international waters and in accordance with the law of armed conflict. And since somebody asked about Congress, and it's sort of related to Venezuela, I also want to add that Secretary Hegseth spoke with members of Congress who may have expressed some concerns over the weekend. And there have also been 13 bipartisan briefings to Congress on the Venezuelan strikes.
And then Karoline Leavitt is asked by a reporter, can you please, well, she's asked by the reporter, one, are you going to release the footage so we can see what happened with those survivors off the coast of Venezuela? And then the reporter says, why did Donald Trump commute the sentence of a private equity executive who served only 12 days out of a 7-year sentence, which prosecution said he defrauded $1.6 billion, a convicted felon who defrauded people of $1.6 billion, but he's private equity. So he's Trump's buds. So you just commuted that sentence and took this guy out of prison? That makes sense to you? Watch what Karoline Leavitt says. Here, play this clip.
Go ahead. Sure.
And then in the interest of transparency, does the White House support releasing the Department of Defense's video of those September 2nd strikes on those military boats? And also, separate topic on presidential pardon power. Why did the president commute the sentence of David Gentile recently? He's a private equity executive. He served 12 days out of a 7-year sentence. The prosecutor said he defrauded $1.6 billion with thousands of victims, including veterans, farmers, teachers. Why was he pardoned?
To your first question, that's definitely not a decision for me to make. I would defer you to the Department of War. It's also probably a decision for the president himself to make. As for your second question with respect to that pardon, he issued a commutation for Mr. Gentile, who's the former CEO and co-founder of GBP Capital Holdings. Unlike similar companies, GBP paid regular annualized distributions to its investors. In 2015, GBP disclosed to investors the possibility of using investor capital to pay some of these distributions rather than funding them from current operations. Even though this was disclosed to investors, the Biden Department of Justice claimed it was a Ponzi scheme. This claim was profoundly undercut by the fact that GBP had explicitly told investors what would happen. At trial, the government was unable to tie any supposedly fraudulent representations to Mr. Gentile. In short, again, this is another example that has been brought to the president's attention of a weaponization of justice from the previous administration, and therefore he signed this commutation.
So say that these people were defrauded.
I just read you a very detailed summary of why the commutation was made. Sure. In the middle with the red tie.
No, it's just oligarchs helping the oligarchs. It's criminals helping the criminals. I mean, what do you expect when you have a literal felon, when you have a sexual abuser, when you have a fraud in the Oval Office? He's helping his fraud friends. He's helping bad people. It shouldn't even be a Democrat or a Republican or independent things. These are evil people helping evil people. They're bad guys. They're bad people. Like, that's what they do. Karoline Leavitt is then asked this question about Republicans resigning en masse. Here, play this clip.
With the red tie.
Thank you, Caroline.
Okay, Andrew, go ahead, and then you.
In wake of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor
Go ahead
Greene's early resignation, reports last week indicated that other House Republicans might consider doing the same. Does the president have any concerns in light of those reports about other House Republicans potentially leaving early, as well as the other announced retirements that we saw in the last couple of days?
Look, I think the president maintains very very good relationships with the vast majority, maybe with the exception of one or two. I think many in this room know who I'm referring to. Very good relationships with members of Capitol Hill within the Republican Party. And the president clearly is the unequivocal leader of the Republican Party. I think it was a recent CNN poll that actually showed that more than 90% of Republicans continue to support President Trump as the leader. So he maintains very good relations, as does his entire team here at the White House. And of course, we have a very slim margin in the House, and the president wants that to continue. Andrew, go ahead. Sure.
First on the Venezuela strike.
And there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.